Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. On behalf of Emgage, I would like to welcome you all to our Philadelphia Muslim Community Mayoral Candidates Forum. I am so excited to see so many familiar faces and to see that our community came out in force today. I love that part. Emgage is the country's largest civic engagement organization for Muslim Americans. We work to provide voter resources, trainings, and other programs to lift up the voices of the Muslim American community. In 2020, we were instrumental in bringing over 1 million Muslim votes in the U.S. across the United States to the polls. And the work continues today. The Muslim community in Philadelphia is a strong one. We number nearly 300,000, and we are a rich, diverse group. We are also a powerful voting bloc, capable of wielding enormous influence in any election, and we are starting to be noticed as such. I'm pleased to welcome each of our mayoral candidates. As you know, this is a packed race with 11 individuals running, and we are grateful that all the candidates agreed to participate today. Through this forum, we will have the opportunity to hear from each candidate on the issues most important to this community. Our moderator, our lead moderator, Sister Aliyah Kabir, and our panel will also ask each candidate a series of questions. We will then ask a few of the top questions submitted in advance by the community. I want to thank all of our partners that made this event possible, the Muslim League of Voters of Delaware Valley, and the members of the Pennsylvania Muslim Civic Table, including Masjid Allah, who were generous enough to host us today. Set for you, the Philadelphia Masjid, Muslims for Humanity, Philadelphia Ramadan and Eid Fund, CARE Philadelphia, United Muslim Masjid, Universal Muslim Business Association, and Masjid Mujahideen. I would also like to recognize some of the dignitaries that are with us today. Councilman Curtis Jones Jr., First Muslim elected to Philadelphia City Council, Sheriff Rochelle Bilal, Imam Nuruddin, our brother Ducky Burks, and the chair of our board at Emgage, Dr. Asif Ilyas. I'm looking forward to a lively and informative discussion today, and I hope you are too. Without further ado, I will hand it over to Sister Aliyah Kabir to explain the format of the forum and to kick us off. I'd like to share a little from Sister Aliyah's bio. Sister Aliyah Z. Kabir is a Philly-born communications professional with over 20 years of public relations, marketing, and advertising experiences in the spectrum of industries. She exercises her expertise in healthcare communications, specifically underserved audiences, nonprofit media, and crisis management, small business marketing and promotion, diversity, equity, and inclusion training, government, banking, and community development. Please welcome Sister Aliyah Kabir.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon or good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you all hear me? Okay, good. First, a little bit of housekeeping. Let's turn the phones off. Silence, please. And then also we want to let you know that the bathrooms are located downstairs. So at this time, we will, as we are in the house of Allah, we are in the home of where the Muslims gather to pray. We would like to introduce Imam Idris Abdul Zahir for the opening prayer.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Masjid Allah. So, for the Muslims, I'd like you to say this along with me because this is what we do when we pray together. So I'm going to say Al Fatiha. We'll open up Al Fatiha together in Arabic and then I'll say it in English for those that don't know the Arabic. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. This is in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. Praise be to Allah, Lord of all the worlds, most gracious, most merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. It's you that we worship and you that we seek for help. Show us the straight way, the way of those who have earned your grace, those who not earned your wrath, and who go not astray. Amen.
Thank you so much, Imam Idris. At this time, I'd like to introduce our panel of moderators, and I will start with Imam Idris. Imam Idris Abdul Zaire is a Philadelphia native, currently serves as the resident Imam of Masjid Allah, the Center of Human Excellence, located here where you are sitting. He has been appointed to the Governor Tomlin's Advisory Commission for African American Affairs. He is Chief of Staff for a large municipal department, serves on the board of Ceasefire PA, member of Multi-Faith Neighbors Network, filmmaker, director, and producer. He is a husband and a father, and we thank him for joining us today. Next bio, I should probably know by heart because we are always together. Salima Sesma is the Executive Director of Emgage Pennsylvania and Emgage National Senior Advisor. She is considered one of the nation's emerging leaders and top strategic thinkers on the local, state, and national level. She founded Evolve Solutions, a management consulting firm, in 2010 to address the racial and socioeconomic disparities within the Black community. Evolve Solutions provides from the floor of political and policy development that positively impacts community engagement. Please give it up for Selena. And our next bio is Assia Jones, who joins us from CARE, the Council of American Islamic Relations, as a coordinator there. Let me give it up for Assia. She is a child of this community, and alhamdulillah, in her position, she is moving the mark she's moving the mark and making sure that we are all involved in everything that has to do with Muslims being engaged in the political process and also defending civil rights. If you're unfamiliar with CARE, CARE is the Council of American Islamic Relations, and it really helps to defend the civil rights of Muslims in this country. Thank you. So right now, I would like to go over a bit of the rules. The candidates here we have agreed and are expected to provide substantive answers on policy across a range of topics relevant to the Muslim American community. We have 3 rounds. General questions, candidate-specific questions, and we have a rapid-fire round that is yes or no, and no answer is acceptable, but yes or no. Then we'll have 2 selected questions that were submitted in advance by the community members. Each round has a time limit, and candidates will be informed on how long they have to speak. They have been informed on how long they have to speak. We do have a timekeeper as well. Our timekeeper is Naja Siddiq. Naja, could you raise your hand? So Naja will be making sure that we stay on topic at one time. Candidates will be notified when they have a 15-second left and will be cut off when their time expires. Candidates will not be allowed to interrupt other candidates during their responses. We do have rebuttal rules as well. They have also been informed of those. If the candidate mentions another candidate in their answer, the moderator may or may not choose to give a brief 30-second rebuttal period for that candidate named. So hopefully all of the rules are understood by all of our participants here and by our audience. We have introductions first, so we are going to give each candidate 45 seconds. 45 seconds to introduce themselves, so Nigel will be timing you. So just so the audience knows, this is alphabetical order. This is not done by anyone's preference. So we will go with alphabetical order. Our first candidate, Mr. Warren Bloom.
Well, hello, brothers and sisters. It's been a long time back since I've been in this facility, but I'm very glad to be here at the local Muslim Center with my Muslim brothers and sisters. It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting us out. Thank you for your hospitality. Looking forward to serving you as your next mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Jeff Brown.
Assalamu alaikum. Happy to be here today. I'm Jeff Brown. I'm running for mayor, and I'm very concerned about the state of the city, and I feel we need a much more substantial change than I'm prepared to do, especially as an outsider. Thanks for having me.
I'm Judge Jimmy Leon. I'm running for mayor to make this city safer for all of you. I was a judge for 34 years, making decisions on a daily basis that impacted and benefited the lives of both you and your families, and I expect to do the same as mayor. Thank you.
I'm Alan Dunham. I'm running for mayor because our city is in a crisis. We have a public safety crisis, a housing crisis, a jobs crisis, a poverty crisis, and the biggest crisis is a crisis of leadership. And I'm running because I feel I can fill that leadership role as your mayor. I've been a business leader most of my life. I've been on city council for almost 2 terms. I've worked with community groups focusing on results. And as mayor, I'll focus on what's most important. That is getting the violence under control in our city. That is the most important thing. Having schools safe, good education, cleaning the city, making the city work, and expanding opportunities for entrepreneurs and getting more employment into the city. I'm excited this afternoon to discuss my experience, and I look forward to hoping to earn your support. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Derek Green, running for mayor. It's a pleasure to be back here in Masjid-Allah. I'm running because we are dealing with significant issues in this city. Last year we had 2,200 shootings. 74% of the victims and shooters were just like you and I. As a former assistant district attorney who was once racially profiled by leaving the DA's office, we have to reduce gun violence in our city without over-criminalizing people in the city, especially young black men. That is my campaign for mayor, because we need to address this issue, and I believe that Philadelphia should expect more and deserve that from our city. And we need to end the lawlessness in our city and make sure religious institutions, especially like Masjid-Allah, are not vandalized by people, because we're going to hold people accountable, and that's what we'll do in the mayor administration.
Good evening, my name is Helen Gim, and I'm running for mayor to finish a job I started almost 30 years ago when I was a teacher in our public schools, teaching 38 children on the 5th floor of a 100-year-old building in Albany. And I knew one thing, that the city was not going to be able to fix itself if it left its children and families behind. We're going to have a long conversation about safety and what justice and what decency and economic opportunity looks like. But I want to be clear that if the only tools we have for fighting violence are taking children away from their families, defunding our schools, and locking people up, we will not be able to turn this around. I've spent my life trying to make children, families, and young adults stronger than ever against unmitigated violence. I look forward to the conversation tonight.
My name is David O. I think a great city is a city where people can really become the person they aspire to be. In order to make that true, there's a lot of things that have to be put in place. And I think one of the biggest problems with the city is the government itself. It aspires to do many things, but it has not done it properly. And therefore, we have a lot of inequity, we have a lot of injustice, and those things have to be addressed by the mayor. The mayor has to take responsibility where the mayor can, and the mayor has a lot of power in this town, but the mayor has to use that power to make these corrections that you know so very well. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. To all of the Muslims who are present, let me start by saying I know we are a few days away, but as you begin to enter your holy season, let me say Ramadan Mubarak to each of you. It's an honor, thank you, it's an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm looking forward to the conversation so that I can share with you how together we will make Philadelphia the safest, cleanest, and greenest big city in the nation with access to economic opportunity for all. I'm also proud that I'm a Johnny-come-lately friend to the Muslim community. Thank you.
My name is Rebecca Reinhardt, and I'm running for mayor because I am the right person to lead our city forward in this challenging time. I know the city's budget inside and out from being the city's budget director for 5 years. And I know the city's operational issues from my work as city controller, auditing every department every year. As controller, I put forth thoughtful solutions to fix the issues facing our city. But that's where my power ended. I couldn't force the mayor to do anything. As mayor, I can and will make change happen to make our city safer, cleaner, and to fix our schools. We can do all of that, and I will make sure that the services work in all of our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Maria Sanchez. I'm very happy to be here today. I encourage all of you to go on my website, mariaforphilly.com, and learn some of the things that we have done together. The Muslim community, particularly in the 7th Cosmetic District that I proudly served for 17 years, has a unique experience with how we've opened up government, creating affordable housing opportunities, branding a commercial corridors, working with our mosques to serve as anchors in the city of Philadelphia, and particularly in the 7th District. I look forward to talking to you how we have worked together to put hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars in your communities to help our communities all become safe and provide entrepreneurship opportunities for the city. Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this time, I'd just like to take 2 minutes to give Assia Jones a proper introduction. I had a bit of a technical difficulty. She is the Youth Leadership and Advocacy Projects Coordinator at CARE Philadelphia. I wanted to get that title right. We always are encouraging our youth to be a part of our community, so I wanted to properly introduce her and let her know that I'm sorry. She's a recent graduate of the Science University where she received her Bachelor of Science in Public Health, and now she is working, putting that degree to work at CARE. Thank you so much. Now we will move right into our questions, and we're going to turn it over to our first round of questions are Muslim policy questions. We are going to turn it over first to Salima, who will ask a question, and there will be specific candidates who will answer that question. Salima?
Yes. Thank you so much, Sister Leah. And just a few additional rules on this round. Moderators will pose 10 questions in this round total. A selection of candidates will be chosen to answer each question. Each candidate will answer 5 of the 10 questions, and you will have 45 seconds to respond. This first question is for Mr. Alan Dom, Mrs. Maria Pinona Sanchez, Mr. Derek Green, Mrs. Sherelle Parker, and Mr. David O. Approximately 20% of students in the Philadelphia School District identify as Muslim, as well as many faculty and staff members. In 2016, Mayor Jim Kenney and former Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Height, supported a City Council resolution observing the 2 Muslim holidays, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, throughout the Philadelphia School District. However, the Muslim community has had to advocate for its observance every single year. As mayor, will you support the permanent addition of the 2 Eid holidays on the school district academic calendar, and how? First, Mr. Allen Down.
The answer is yes, then I'll tell you why. I'm Jewish. This past year, we were supposed to have a council hearing on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year. And I actually reached out to our council president, Darrell Clark, and said, I won't be there. And I don't think it's right to have that council hearing on that day. And Council President Clark changed it, and I was very appreciative of it, did the right thing. I would do the right thing for the Muslim community also. There are 2 holy days, there should be 2 holidays also. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria Colonia Sanchez.
Thank you. Absolutely. I supported my council colleague, Councilman Jones, who championed them, and I have advocated very strongly for inclusive rules and regulations as the city operates with the Muslim communities. Situations like when folks pass away, and the issue of needing autopsies and access to bodies, to respect your religious process. So I'm a strong advocate for an inclusive curriculum that really speaks to young people, who they are and their communities, and will promote that as mayor of the city.
Thank you. Mayor Green.
I will absolutely continue to support the work I've done historically, supporting my colleague, Councilman Curtis Jones, and State Senator Sharif Street. But it's important we have these holidays, these Eid holidays, recognized in the school district of Philadelphia. We see at a national level that people are trying to whitewash American history and African American history, and not allowing us to represent all communities of faith in the classroom. So it's important for young people to understand that they are being celebrated and being able to have opportunity to religiously celebrate their holidays in their community and as a member of the school district of Philadelphia. So as a mayor, I will definitely support that issue, and we need to take that leadership to make sure young people know that they're being celebrated and welcome in the city of Philadelphia.
Thank you. Mr. Parker.
Thank you. So I want to answer the question emphatically, yes. But what I want to say is that there should not be a need to have a resolution passed on an annual basis in order to get this done. So what Mayor Parker would do is ensure that when we are negotiating our collective bargaining agreements with 3347 police and fire, the 4 unions governing our 26,000 employees, we will ensure that that is what is bargained, and never again shall you need to pass a resolution.
Thank you. Mr. Baker.
Yes, I do support that. I do think, however, that in addition to a major holiday, the school district should have a system where they recognize each and every religious holiday for each and every student, faculty member, or worker, whereby those who are Catholic, those who are Hindu, those who are Muslim, those who are Christian, they can take off the days that are most important to them with continuity of education. So I'd like to see that type of system, because these systems somewhat pit us against one another, putting one religion above or below another, and I think that's overall unhealthy, but it is based on the idea that we're all one people in the city.
Thank you. The second question is for Ms. Helen Gim, Mr. Judge James DeLeon, Mrs. Rebecca Reinhardt, Mr. Jeff Brown, and Mr. Warren Bloom. The Muslim Day of Religious Observance is Friday, also known as Jummah. Currently, Muslim leaders have been meeting with the school district leadership regarding our proposal to have high school students, high school Muslim students, granted early dismissal to attend Friday worship services, as well as providing prayer space in school. If you become mayor, will you support both of these current efforts for a district-wide policy that would permit Muslim students to observe these religious obligations, and why? Helen Kim?
Why and how? So the answer is yes. First of all, on the first effort, it's a constitutional right to be able to observe, and so we would work. I would, as mayor, I would make sure to appoint a school board in which you do not have to come to the school board to make the appeal. I want a school board that is engaged with communities, particularly our Muslim and diverse communities, so that these questions aren't, debated so far apart from one another. They are integral to a young person's life. I need school to feel like home. I need school to feel like an extension of family. And in order for that to happen, I need schools to be responsible for and responsive to the religious, cultural, and community needs of all of our young people.
Judge Delian.
What Ms. Jim just said is correct. It is a constitutional right. You have the right to freedom of religion. So, with me as mayor, if there's some kind of issue where the school board is having to go through such negotiations with you, which I think is ridiculous anyway, I would just give it an executive order that those holidays would be respected. Because, see, the Islamic community as a whole is very important for the safety and welfare of our entire community. And I want you to continue being strong. So I would back you all the way on any of these holidays.
Rebecca Reinhardt.
My answer on both of these issues is a strong yes. I believe this is about respect. This is about respecting the diversity of our city, of religion, and that is something that I would espouse as mayor. As city controller, when I came in 2018, there was no prayer space for our Muslim employees, and I created one. And that's the way that I lead and will lead as mayor.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Yes and yes, and that's what I do with my business. So we have a prayer space for people in our business. We allow them, or it's up to them, but they have options available to pray over prayer time. And I would also support Juna leading earlier. One other thing, I would have senior leaders that are Muslim. I have it in my business today, and they would make sure that I'm sensitive. The team is sensitive to the Muslim issues of faith, and we will be on top of this.
Thank you. Mr. Warren.
I also concur with the First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. I think the Muslim community has a great and a strong responsibility and will affect this community and as a whole. So I support it 1,000% and anything I can to increase Muslim participation in making our community better. You definitely have my 100% support.
Thank you, Selena.
Thank you.
Our next set of questions is on economic policy, and Imam Idris Abdul-Zahir will be asking those questions. Imam?
So this first question is for James DeLeon, Maria Quinones Sanchez, David O, Sherelle Parker, and Jeff Brown. Economic development funding and tax incentives are often focused on attracting larger businesses in Philadelphia rather than retaining and growing local businesses. What changes would you make to address this inequality? First, James.
Well, the first thing, let's understand that we have $800 million left over from the American Rescue Plan that has to be spent by 2025. So in 2024, I would take $400 million of those dollars and put it in my FY budget. Now, out of that money, I would take money and seed the Empowerment Center specifically for small businesses to receive the necessary funding and training in order to grow their businesses. I would also give money to the Black Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Asian Chamber of Commerce, and the General Chamber of Commerce to do the same thing, to grow Black and minority and brown people businesses.
So let me tell you what we've already done. In South Kensington with Alaska, we created a public-private partnership where I leverage public land and allow the Arab American CDC to build affordable housing, getting them tens of millions of dollars in an asset so they can grow their mosque and their school. In addition, we've used millions of dollars in branding Taha Mosque in Frankfurt Avenue around the corridor, creating a public park, commercial opportunities, affordable commercial opportunities, and affordable housing. So we've demonstrated that we understand that mosques can serve as anchors in our communities and should be given opportunities to create affordable housing and affordable business opportunities on the corridor. And lastly, we allowed Al Hida to, not only did we facilitate their purchasing of an old industrial site, we allowed them and worked with them through the zoning process where they now have a full-fledged center and school there. So we've done this.
Time.
Thank you.
The relationship between the big tax incentives and the smaller tax incentives and other things are very important. When we have a large employer, they put money into the pockets of people in the community who can then go purchase and support the local businesses. A good example is Sunday Rotem, train manufacturer that Councilman Curtis Jones Jr. helped to bring to Philadelphia. At its height, it employed 350 people, supported another 5,000 workers. 20% were returning citizens, excellent wages, union membership. From there, we can do things for smaller businesses that are typically brick and mortar in the commercial quarters around online crime prevention and to ensure that they have the support they need to be a great business. Thank you.
I've been in government long enough to know that if you don't make something someone's job, it doesn't get done. I have noted for the record that I will have a deputy mayor for minority business growth. That person will be responsible for assuring not just the attraction, retention, but the growing of Black businesses. And the reason why this is essential is because they need access to capital. And I'm not talking about a loan from a bank. Venture capital, equity capital, Shark Tank-like capital that allows us to maintain ownership of our business. Della Clark and the Enterprise Center has a $100 million Innovate Capital Fund. The city of Philadelphia and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania should be contributors to it. Power Up Your Business at Community College of Philadelphia is another tool that we've also created because we learned during the pandemic that all Black businesses didn't have accountants and lawyers or retainers, so when the PPP applications came out, we couldn't get them because we didn't have the technical backroom assistance necessary to qualify.
Yeah, I would add an equity fund as well. I think that's important to fund small businesses. Some would be grants, some could be equity investments. I would want to add support for technical assistance. I found that small businesses sometimes need some help there. I would expand procurement opportunities. As a mayor, it's not just the law, it's what the mayor believes is important. I think it's very important to expand, especially Black and brown procurement opportunities. And look at what I already did. When the pandemic hit, I started the PA 30-day fund. I funded 1,200 businesses, half were Black-owned businesses. And I started the small business incubator, where I've helped 400 businesses now in Philadelphia. Look at what I already did.
Thank you, sir. The next question is for Helen Gim, Rebecca Reinhardt, Alan Don, Warren Bloom, and Derek Greenman. What are your plans to grow the local economy in a way that creates good-paying jobs that offer upward mobility for low-wage workers and expands the middle class? We'll start with Helen Gim.
Thank you very much. This is all about intentionality. I was very proud to fight to make sure that funding went to pre-K centers, particularly moving 1- and 2-star rated centers up to 3- and 4-star. And the reason why I say that is because what I'm trying to address is specific disparities that deny certain, particularly Black and brown and women-led businesses from having access to greater opportunity. Everything in our city needs to be geared towards intentionality. So absolutely that means that we will make sure that there are opportunity funds for Black businesses, that we are utilizing everything within our procurement department to try to grow small businesses to medium to large. But very specifically, I am a diehard union supporter. I've taken on large corporations in the city, making sure that we raise wages, we give people advanced access to hours. Those are the ways in which we are going to see people rise.
Director Reinhardt?
As mayor, I would focus on creating job pathways from our poorest neighborhoods to good paying jobs. We have growing jobs in life sciences and other industries, but we aren't providing the technical training and pathway to those jobs. As mayor, I would invest in and support those workforce development programs, as well as make sure that there's technical training in our schools and that every child has a good school. In addition to that, under my administration, I have pledged to double the number of Black-owned businesses in our city by providing a direct equity investment, direct cash into businesses, as well as technical support. We need to do this to lift our whole city up, and we can. Thank you.
Time.
Okay. Number one, last 10 years, jobs created in the United States that paid less than $35,000. The percentage was 29%. In the city of Philadelphia, 60.5%. We're producing double the level of low-paying jobs. Of the top 20 employers in the city, only 3 are private sector. Comcast, American Airlines, and a security company called Ally. Everything else is as index. Why do we have less than $35,000 to $100,000 jobs where half the suburbs? Go look at Conshohocken, Valley, Fortune, Devon, that's where their activity is. Our problem is our tax structure. Businesses in New York City, local, and state are taxed at 16.2, Philadelphia, 15.9. California, the third highest in the country, is 8.8. Chicago, 7, Boston, 7, we're 15.9. Atlanta's 4. Tell me why small business can grow here with that type of burden on that business. It's very difficult.
I don't know everything like most of these other candidates up here, but this decision is going to have to be led by the business community. I will be seeking out business leaders in this community to know how to best move Philadelphia forward in their business opportunities and growth. So I will definitely be seeking out the multitude of counsel that's given to the business community to help solve this problem, move Philadelphia forward in its best path.
As a former small business owner, I know access to capital is important. Also, it ties directly into my public safety claim. One of the best ways to reduce crime is to give someone a job. The best creators of jobs are small businesses. That's why I did the public banking initiative, because I was a small business lender as well at Broad and Glenwood in North Philadelphia. So we need to provide access to credit to allow businesses to grow and provide more jobs in the city of Philadelphia. But also we have to provide opportunity for more high family sustaining jobs in the city of Philadelphia. I remember when the Bud plant had 20,000 employees. That's now being renovated to Bud Fireworks. The fact that someone's great-grandfather worked in the Bud plant, started a career, their great-grandson and great-granddaughter can now do the same thing. But we need to make sure we provide those opportunities in the school district. That's not what's happening. We're going to bring back that career and technical training to our schools and expose our people to those opportunities.
Thank you, Imam Idris. Before we move on to our next section of education, where Assia Jones will be asking those questions, we'd like to acknowledge that Imam Sutruddin Muhammad has joined us from Masjid Muhammad. Thank you. We'll now turn it over to Assia Jones.
This question is for Maria Quinones Sanchez, Sherelle Parker, James DeLeon, Warren Loon, and Derek Green. The Philadelphia School District, like the city in general, has aging and outdated infrastructure. Many schools have been battling issues with asbestos, poor heating and cooling systems, and general disrepairs. What are you prepared to do as the Philadelphia's next mayor to remedy the issue? First, Maria.
Thank you. One of the last tasks was, I was chair of education committee. I was working on trying to form a school building authority. Why a school building authority? 90% of the school district hearings are about buildings that we should be not discussing, but just knocking down and building new ones. And the reason to create the school building authority is because we need a process where these schools, we're going to spend tens of millions of dollars on them, that are built by people who look like us and provide real opportunity for that economic development tool, so we can build good schools and build them by folks in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. The first thing we'll do is put our intergovernmental skills to use after spending 10 years in Harrisburg and leveraging the City of Philadelphia funds. You've got to know where to look to get the revenue, so the money is not the problem. Then we have aging infrastructure across the City of Philadelphia. We need to be partnering with the Philadelphia building trades to ensure that the trades and those skills are infused throughout the school district. You should not have to go to one specific school. Our kids should be building new, but maintaining existing, and not just schools, but our aging housing stock that's in need of maintenance. We should be doing that work ourselves, and we can't.
So what Councilwoman Parker just brought up was something that we can expand on. We have these buildings that we need to have repaired. We can have our students trained on how to repair some of those buildings. We can give them jobs right while they're in school. We can train them to do these buildings, to put these buildings back in line, as long as it's not asbestos related. Anything that's a carcinogenic, we don't want to have our students involved. We have a situation now where they're putting our students in schools that they knew had carcinogenics in it, but we don't want to do that. But this can be an opportunity for our students to have a job and build back our schools, some of our schools as well.
This is probably going to be my most aggressive concerns. Not only are the schools outdated in their infrastructure, but our current curriculum. The current curriculum we have in the school system hasn't been changed since 1867. The first thing we're going to do is bring it back up to 21st century standards for the curriculum we have. There are government funds available to make sure that our future, and I'm talking about our children, have the best opportunity they can do to grow and make sure they're in safe environments to grow and learn. So I will be seeking out whatever government funding we need to make sure that our future children have the opportunity to live in safe and learn in safe environments and structures.
So this issue of asbestos is an issue that's very important to me. My mother taught in the school district for 31 years, 26 years at Olney. When I was law school, I became to teach part-time at Olney, and she dealt with asbestos. My son, who graduated from the public school system last year, also dealt with asbestos. That's why I introduced legislation as a member of City Council to have the city involved in reference to removing asbestos from our schools. Now we have a situation where the school district is using our tax dollars to sue the city for stopping us from enforcing that law. That will not happen in the Green administration. In addition, I was a national president of Democratic municipal officials, and I see what mayors do all around the country using the bipartisan infrastructure dollars as a way to reinvent and redo their schools. I will bring that type of leadership to the city of Philadelphia, and I've seen it happen in other cities, and I'll make sure it happens here in Philadelphia.
The next question is for Helen Jim, David O., Rebecca Reinhardt, Alan Dom, and Jeff Brown. So research shows that having a teacher of color can help students of color reach better outcomes, but the benefits extend to all young people, preparing them to live and work in an increasingly diverse society. For example, a 2017 study by IZA Institute of Labor Economics found that for poor black boys, it decreases the risk of dropping out by nearly 40%. The Philadelphia School District has almost 200,000 students. 85% are minority students, yet the teaching staff is 70% white. As a mayor, how would you help the school district teaching staff look more like the student body? First, Helen.
Thank you. So as a former teacher, this has been an issue that's been near and dear to my heart. As a council member, I held multiple hearings about school district diversity and staffing. Not only is this an urgent issue because many of our classrooms are empty, it's an urgent issue because we're losing so many kids. We have so much truancy right now, young people disengaged, and we need to bring our young people back to us with, as I said before, schools that feel like home. So as mayor, I'm leading a 21st century Black Teachers Initiative to restore Black teachers back to our schools, to prioritize them within the hiring structure, to make sure that we are supporting and helping pay potentially and clear student debt that may be incurred in partnership with our higher educational institutions as well.
I think there are three important areas for our schools. That is academics, career vocational, creative arts, and innovation. And the schools have to provide that. But the schools are very inequitable, neighborhood to neighborhood. And so one of our greatest challenges is to bring teachers of color into the communities that will most benefit from them in those three areas. First, we need to pay better. We need to have better pay for our teachers in all three areas. I did introduce a bill to provide a level of student debt tax credits, $7,500 over a 5-year period, and also we need to bring in through recruitment the teachers that we need in the communities. And I'll just say, all my teachers were black. Trent, Turner, I had all my teachers in my class.
Diversity among our teachers is incredibly important. And as city controller, I took steps to make sure that my leadership team was diverse. I had a very racially diverse leadership team and overall staff. One of the things that I did as city controller was change how we recruited to encourage more African American people to apply. And so we changed recruiting. We established diverse hiring panels so that it countered implicit bias. And these are all of the things that I would do as mayor to ensure that the school district is hiring and recruiting the most diverse teacher workforce it possibly can. I think it's possible, it's necessary, and I will lead that effort as mayor.
As mayor, I get to appoint the school board, so I will align my appointments with diversifying the teachers across the city. I heard a statistic last week that's quite alarming. In our public schools, black male teachers are only 5%. In the public charter, they're, I think, 12%. I'll say the other piece. We need to start thinking about jobs and using our high schools to be the pipeline for those jobs. We need to teach from K through 12 financial literacy in all schools. We need to teach technology. We need to teach entrepreneurship. We need to let students from 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade have the option to go to school 4 days a week, work 1 day a week in a job, get credit, get paid, and get a summer job. And then we need to also build schools that are for the building trades, even for teachers, and for public safety, police, fire, and EMT. Use our schools for job training.
We should establish investment in scholarship for young black men to go on the teacher's track where we pay for their education and turn with them agreeing to come work for us afterwards. We should invest in black charter schools instead of hostilely attacking them like we are now and trying to take them up. We should set goals, incentives, and to get young black teachers and also raise the starting wages. And we should establish a teacher's track in high school to start preparing young people for an educational track in the teaching profession, because we actually have a shortage of all teachers, and we have a crisis program. No one's doing anything.
Thank you. The next set of questions, we're going to pause for 1 second before we'd like to recognize State Representative Tariq Khan, who has also joined us. Our next set of questions are quality of life questions, and both Salima and Yvette Idris will be asking those questions. Salima?
Thank you. Thank you, Aaliyah. This first question is for Sherelle Parker, Jeff Brown, Maria Corona Sanchez, Helen Gim, and David O. Gun violence continues to be a prominent issue in the city of Philadelphia, with both the victims and perpetrators getting younger and younger. Describe a proactive approach that you would take to address and prevent this epidemic from continuing. Sherelle Parker.
First things first, I am proud to be the only candidate here today who before I decided to run for mayor, I introduced a plan because I didn't need a poll to tell me that public safety was the #1 priority in the city of Philadelphia at large. It called for us to address it using a holistic approach. Community policing proactively, not just seeing law enforcement when they're responding to 911 calls, but walking the beat, riding the bike, and getting to know the people they're sworn to protect and serve. And cleaning our communities, ensuring that our commercial quarters and our neighborhoods and stabilizing our housing stock. That is how we would do it, ensuring that our young people are doing the work to get it done. I've already introduced plans. I didn't wait for one year to do it.
Thank you, Mrs. Parker.
Yeah, well, this is a poverty problem, and I have a very robust poverty plan. That's a topic for a different question. But we're short about 1,500 police officers we lost. We need to rehire them. It gives us a historic opportunity to diversify the police and to train them to serve and de-escalate tensions. And I think that's how we can have equity and safety. The other thing is technology. We need more cameras in violent areas, and we need good forensics. Because there's only about 1,700 violent people that have a record of violence in our community that are not incarcerated. And to be honest, we've got to protect our citizens and take them off the street until we can help them and get them to stabilize and not hurt people.
Maria Pinona Sanchez.
Thank you. We know our next shooter and we know the next victim because we failed them already. We failed them in our public schools, we failed them in our health and human services, because we have disrupted for the last few decades families where the only issue could be poverty. So what I would do is we have to make sure that we support young people who are entering the criminal justice system so they don't feel the hopelessness that has led to the crimes that we're seeing. But part of that is making sure that we readdress the disinvestment that we have historically done in Black and brown communities and support families as opposed to destabilizing. I would work to make sure that we are doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So 2 years ago, I wrote a youth anti-violence agenda report with some of the leading anti-violence experts around young people. We have so few programs for young people 30 and under. It's one of the main reasons why I fought hard to make sure that we would make parents part of the solution and make families stronger. I pushed hard for a 911 mental health crisis response unit that could respond to domestic violence complaints, concerns about family members before young people ever even hit the system. Second, I want to make sure that we support young people when they come out of the Juvenile Justice Services Center, make sure they get the wraparound support that they need, and empower our communities to be part of on-the-ground supports within neighborhoods and communities to reach out to young people, provide those after-school programs, and provide the opportunity they need year-round.
I don't think there's a way to immediately address gun violence and murder without policing. You have to deploy police uniform visible, working with the community in an intelligent manner. There are hotspots, we know where they are. There are public gathering places, there's community gathering places, there's routes to school and in school. Every place where people are afraid, public transportation, they have to see a difference. They have to see that there is someone there to protect them. I think the message that we have to send, once we can assure people that we care about them, no one can get hurt or shot, is to show people, particularly in the communities that are underserved, that we care. They have to see an effort in the schools. They have to see reimagined libraries. They have to see the signs that are doing things for them.
Okay, so this next question is for James DeLeon, Warren Bloom, Derek Green, Rebecca Reinhardt, Alan Donald. In 2019, the Plainview Project released a database exposing widespread racist and anti-Muslim Facebook posts by over 300 Philadelphia police officers, some of whom were subsequently reprimanded and or terminated. What steps can the city government take to address issues of anti-Muslim hate and anti-blackness within the Philadelphia's law enforcement and criminal justice system? And how can it work with Black Muslim leaders and organizations to ensure the safety and protection of their communities? James DeLeon.
As a judge, as many of you know, when you come to my courtroom, I treated you with courtesy and respect. And that's the exact same thing that any department in my administration would treat the citizens, with courtesy and respect. As far as the police officers are concerned, who had that situation where it was anti-Muslim post, that's unacceptable. That is totally unacceptable. Now, what we do with situations like that, obviously, is retraining. Because those particular people have to learn that all citizens in Philadelphia are going to be treated with courtesy and respect, or else you're going to lose that job.
Warren Bloom.
I think, number one, the next mayor has to be also a moral leader. And I have already determined that I'm going to be using the public airways to constantly put in your ear that this city will not tolerate discrimination and hate. I'm on the love frequency, I'm not coming down. Be looking out for commercials, hearing, and every day, all day telling you about the love of brotherly and sisterly affection and godliness.
Gregory? So when you make reference to the planning project and that issue, I was one in city council who held hearings regarding that issue to expose that racism that was happening in our police department. We cannot allow that to occur. We need to make sure that we're bringing police officers into the city of Philadelphia. We work with Muslim leaders to bring officers of all faiths, all backgrounds. We need to have officers that reflect our city. But also the issue is also at the state level. A lot of those officers were able to keep their jobs. That's why we need Act 111 reform, which is the legislation that allows people to continue to keep their jobs in our police department. As a former past president of Pennsylvania Municipal League, I work with mayors from around the Commonwealth to make those changes to Act 111 reform to make sure that if you get fired or disciplined from doing racist things like we saw in the Plainview project, you can't keep your job.
Rebecca Reinhardt.
As mayor, I would make sure that anyone that did that type of behavior, racism, bigotry, was not on our police force. To me, this isn't about training, it's about, sometimes you can't train away that type of thing. You have to just get rid of the person on the force. And as city controller, I stood up and called things the way they are. As part of my audit on the police department, I showed that 911 response times are slower in neighborhoods with more African Americans in the population. That's not right. And as mayor, I'll make sure that we have equal service delivery for all neighborhoods, all of our people. Thank you.
Before you go to the next person, please hold your applause until the end of the answer because you're cutting into our very tight time for our candidates to respond. Thank you. Alan Brown.
Thank you. My 10-point public safety plan, very comprehensive, is on my website, votedarm.com. One of the points is to increase funding to stop hate crimes for any race, religion, orientation, or gender. Just increase funding dramatically. And I remember a picture of seeing one of the police officers with a swastika on their arm. And I remember my reaction to that because my grandfather came here in 1916 from Poland. He was one of 11 siblings, and all his brothers and sisters, their family, and his parents were killed in concentration camps. He was the only one who survived. So I understand the hate crime, I understand what goes on, and I agree with some of my colleagues that that person should not stay on the force. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you, Emgage. At this time, before we go on to our next section, I'd like to acknowledge Councilman Anthony Phillips from the 9th District. So it is now my turn to ask the candidates a few questions. This particular section is based in healthcare. The Philadelphia Maternal Mortality Review Committee published a report that found that Philadelphia's rate of pregnancy-related deaths from 2013 to 2018 was approximately 20 per 100,000 live births, which is higher than the 2018 national rate of 17.4 per 100,000 live births. Non-Hispanic Black women made up 43% of births in Philadelphia from 2013 to 2018, but accounted for 73% of the pregnancy-related deaths from 2010 to 2016, to 39% from 2017 to 2018. How do you plan to empower Black women, medical professionals, and birth workers such as doulas and midwives to save lives? This question is for Derek Green, Rebecca Reinhardt, Helen Gim, Warren Bloom, and Maria Kiona Sanchez, and we will start with Derek Green.
Well, thank you for that question. That's a very important question because it's impacting African-American women around the city of Philadelphia, regardless of your income level. The fact that we are not providing equal standard in reference to maternity care, that is a problem and an issue in the city of Philadelphia. We need to address that. As mayor, I'll make sure the health commission understands these issues and will interface with outstanding leaders like Dr. Eli Sanders, who created Dr. Eli Sanders Center for Health Equity to address these issues. Because the disparity issue that happened for a long time, we should not be having an issue that we're having, and we should be empowering doulas and midwives. That is another opportunity for entrepreneurship. But we as a city are not doing that. So my administration will make sure that will occur going forward, and we'll make sure we'll reduce that disparity because it impacts all of us as a city.
Rebecca Reinhardt.
As mayor, I will work to remedy this horrible, outrageous statistic and reality for Black women in Philadelphia. These statistics are unacceptable. So as mayor, what I'll do, I'll make sure that the health centers are fully funded and working in the way that they should. I'll meet with community leaders, experts in this area, hospitals, and convene a conversation around what can the city do. The city has money. It does have money. I was the city's budget director, so I do know there is money when there's a priority. And we need to fund and fix this issue. Thank you.
Next, Helen Gim.
Thank you. This is an issue near and dear to my heart. Philadelphia is the largest city in the country without a public hospital network, which means that everything that we do has to be intentional about equity and justice as well. I will establish a Black Maternal Health Advisory Commission. We are going to make sure that we have many of our support networks, including nurse family partnerships, doulas, midwives, to be part of that commission. We are not going to stack it with the largest hospitals in the city. I will tell you that because they have been responsible for some of the seriousness about access to care. We're going to make sure that prenatal care and health care is the top of the agenda for our health department. We're going to do outreach work, knocking on doors, reaching out to new moms, and we're going to make sure that our budgets realign with that and that's
time. Warren Bloom.
We know that we are in a healthcare crisis with the shutting down of major hospitals like Allen Hospital, and there's a crisis in this city concerning women's health. I believe at the end of the day, women have a right to determine what's best for their own health. I think we need to invest more dollars in making sure women have good health and maintain best health for what's best for them. And I'm going to be again gathering all the communities and women. I want to point women to help us solve this problem. I'm not a woman, but I know it's going to take a woman to help solve that problem. So that's why I'm going to be pointing women to do things like that.
Thank you, Maria Kiona Sanchez.
Thank you. We have a racist health department. We saw that under COVID. Who got COVID vaccinations first and who got vaccinations later? We have a racist system that will not own its data sets to even begin to address what we all know are health disparities all over the city of Philadelphia. I represented one of those districts and have fought hard for medical access to those communities in there. In fact, one of the last projects I worked on was bringing a health center to the Frankfurt community. But we gotta own the data sets and say, the health department has to lead the charge in making sure there's equity. As a survivor of cancer, I've experienced that firsthand. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question. Many Philadelphians continue to suffer from drug addiction, including Muslims. What is your plan to address this public health crisis? This question is for Cheryl Parker, Jeff Brown, James DeLeon, Alan Dom, and David O. Cheryl Parker.
Because I grew up 2 minutes from here, in the midst of the crack cocaine epidemic, when it came and destroyed my working class blue collar community and family, when I had people in my family addicted to the substance and the underground economy by which they thought it was the only way that they could live, I can tell you that safe injection sites won't be a part of it. No one talked about a safe crack house or a one at 19 in Emgage Action where the people in my community were suffering. In addition, 75% of the people who are in Kensington right now suffering from homelessness and addiction, they don't live or are not from the city of Philadelphia. We need a regional approach. We don't need a safe injection site. We need long-term care, long-term treatment, and long-term housing.
Next, Jeff Brown.
Yeah, I was on the convention center board, we had like 80 unhoused people, that most of which had addiction problems, and we struggled to try to resolve that for years. And what we ended up doing was getting homeless outreach personnel to talk to them and find out what it would take to get them into supportive housing and treatment. And we ultimately got all of them in there. We need a citywide team to do this. The second is we need to re-energize drug court, because drug court will monitor if you're off the wagon and tell you, get back into treatment or you got a problem. And I think that would be an important element. And look, we continue to have to try to crack down on the kingpins that sell illegal drugs.
All right.
Next, Judge James DeLeon.
And the way we do it is, number one, we do have to reduce the crime. That's where community policing comes in. Community policing, working with community groups to identify where the situations are as far as the drugs are concerned, so that we can go there, get the perpetrators off. Now, as far as the users are concerned, we have to set up both mobile and brick and mortar sites right where they are as far as users are concerned. And we have to give them the necessary resources in order to turn them around from the drug use. And some of this is like ongoing, but we have to give them what they need for ongoing treatment.
Thank you. Next, Alan Dom.
Thank you. People that are addicted to drugs, we have to get them into treatment. We do need to crack down on drug dealers. We need federal, state, local help on this. Whether it's Kensington or anywhere in the city to crack down on drug dealers. Until you stop the drug dealing, we're not going to stop a lot of this addiction in the city. Our drug dealers are really good entrepreneurs. They give out free samples. We need to take them off the street and not send them to other parts of the city, but to take them off the street. We're going to need federal, state, and local drug and law enforcement to do that. And also, we need to bring back, I know Judge Leon was the originator of this, community court, where you can go out and help people that are addicted or have mental illness or have any issue and bring them into treatment and take them off the street. It's inhumane to take them off the street. Thank you.
And lastly, David O.
I think the city's policy right now is one of enabling and not prevention. We have to help people to escape the drug addiction. It should be help on demand. When they need help, we help them. There's a lot of bureaucracies in this process. For example, it was the fact that you had to have 2 days clean. So if you went to a drug service, you have to come back. You went on a Thursday or a Friday, you have to come back on Monday. People don't come back. Drug addiction is a very crippling thing, and yes, we have to enforce the law. We have to enforce the law so it is not easy to get drugs. That will help tremendously.
Thank you. Right now, we're going to fast forward to our rapid fire questions. All candidates will be asked 5 rapid fire questions. Each candidate must respond with either yes or no. Those are the only 2 acceptable answers. So we will go in alphabetical order. Once I will announce the question, and then we'll go alphabetical order for the candidates. First question. The Philadelphia beverage tax has paid for over 10,000 children to attend free pre-K, as well as renovations to recreation centers, parks, and libraries. Would you be in support of maintaining this tax? Yes or no?
No.
Yes, at this time.
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Next question. Will you support legislation to shut down nuisance stop and go establishments?
I can consider
Yes.
that.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you.
No.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
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 Thank you. Next question. Are you willing to support the Muslim community in pursuit of securing the Islamic holidays on the municipal calendar for city workers? To be clear, are you prepared to add Islamic holidays to the calendar so that Muslim city employees do not have to use their own PTO to observe those holidays? Yes or no?
YES.
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 Next question. As mayor, will you take steps to ensure that the Muslim community in Philadelphia is adequately represented in local government and civic life?
Absolutely.
Yes.
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 Absolutely yes.
Yes.
Certainly.
Yes.
Yes.
Last question. With such a large population of Muslim students in Philadelphia schools, will you support making access to halal meals mandatory in all schools? Clearly, food is important to us.
I think it's needed, yes.
Absolutely, yes. Look what I did in my stores.
Yes or no? Come on, y'all.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and I fought for them.
Yes.
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 Yes, with new kitchens.
Well, that was interesting. We know that a number of our candidates may have to leave at a certain point. I believe that time is 6:30. So we wanted to make sure that we got that in. Our next round will return to our candidate-specific questions. We are now at 6:14. At 6:30, I will pause for those who need to leave. Our candidate-specific questions will be asked by our panel of moderators. I will announce the moderator and then they will have the question. So our first question will be asked by Asia, and she will announce the candidate as well.
First question is for Jeff Brown. Philadelphia is now the poorest metropolitan in the United States. Your website includes a 5-point plan, including addressing multi-generational poverty. How do you plan to support Philadelphia families, some of which are in a state of perpetual poverty?
Yeah, this is the most important thing to me, what I'm very passionate about. 3-point plan. 1, K through 12 reforms that vastly increase career and technical education. Over 75% of our kids don't go to college, and we have really very little for them. The second is workforce, and if you know my background, I have a tremendous amount of workforce experience, hiring 60,000 people in my shop. PYN, I was chairman, 200,000 kids. I'm chairman of the workforce system. Our system needs reform. It also needs to provide career and technical education.
Thank you.
The next question is for Warren Bloom. Your website mentions you battling for better schools, labor fairness, and eviction activism. What are your plans to make this a reality?
Well, first of all, you gotta vote Bloom, you gotta do the right thing. And vote for Bloom in the spring. I'm from the hood, I'll be good.
Until I get in the office, I can't promise you anything. But don't put your promise and hope in politicians. Don't do that. I think, you know, we're talking about hope and, listen, I got 10 seconds. Put your hope and faith in who? You and the God above. Put me in office, and I'll let my work speak for itself.
Thank you.
Okay, and the next question is for James DeLeon. As a former judge, tell us about the unique experiences you will bring to your transition into the office of the mayor.
Well, the first thing is to keep everybody safe. I've faced the problem that we have with gun violence and homicides in the city before. When I was supervising judge, when I took the job as supervising judge, people were getting killed in Philadelphia 400 a year. As supervising judge, I led the initiative for 7 straight years that reduced the homicides in Philadelphia from 400 to 250 a year for 7 straight years. Now, any life is a life that we don't want to lose. But the fact is that I cut it down 150 people a year, which means that I saved over 1,000 lives. So what I will do is save lives in the city of Philadelphia in my administration.
Thank you. Our next question will be asked by Salima.
Thank you, Aaliyah. This question is for Mr. Alan Dowling. As a businessman, you have focused largely on the development in the city. How do you protect Philly residents and small businesses from being pushed out by big business?
I'm a big advocate for entrepreneurship. That is the key to growing jobs. I'm an entrepreneur. I came here with nothing in 1976. My background, when I was 5 years old, I shined shoes for 25 cents. I had 2 paper routes when I was 11, 5:30 in the morning, 3:30 in the afternoon. I was on the wrestling team in high school. I went to a public school. After wrestling practice in 10th grade, I was a janitor after 6 o'clock from 6:30 to 10:30 at night, making $1.60 an hour, 4 nights a week. I understand hard work, and I appreciate and understand entrepreneurship. And the way for us to create more jobs in the city is more entrepreneurs, especially in the Black and brown community. And that's why my school plan, I want to teach entrepreneurship from K through 12. And in addition, I want to teach adults in 25 locations around the city financial literacy, home ownership, tech, and entrepreneurship.
Time.
This question is for Derek Green. In your public safety plan outlined on your campaign website, you state that you will replace the current police commissioner, Daniel Oswald, if elected as mayor. Please outline your reasons why.
Well, my reason why is that we have a gun violence crisis in our city, back-to-back years, over 500 homicides, and we all know we need to take a new direction. And I know from my experience not only being a city council member, but also being a national leader and talking with mayors all around the country, and the type of people they will bring into the police department, the police commissioner. I mean, Daniel Outlaw's done some good things, but we need a change because Black men are dying in this city. Too many Black men that look like me, and look like my 20-year-old son on the autism spectrum. So I will seek the advice of local police commissioners who've done great work in the city of Philadelphia, like Sylvester Johnson, for Commissioner Ramsey, and also talk to organizations around the country who've done great work and leading and addressing the issue of gun violence in the city and the country.
Thank you, Mr. Green. This next question is for Helen Young. Your campaign addresses several critical issues and speaks of your commitment to education, fair housing, and safe and clean communities. Which of these issues would a GEM administration prioritize and why?
Thank you. So there's no question that I have spent my life looking at how cities are going to invest in communities. I said before that I've spent my life trying to figure out how to make sure that children and families, parents and others are stronger against unmitigated violence, because we cannot lock our way out of this problem. We cannot, many of the traditional things that we have pursued have not benefited Black and brown communities, have not lifted up our schools, have not unlocked wealth, and have not provided important opportunities, especially for young people 30 and under. So my priorities are on education, to finally fix our schools. I have brought clean water, new playgrounds, and air conditioning to many schools, and I'm on a mission to modernize every single public school like it's a promise to every single family here. I'm going to provide housing and make sure that we're investing in communities to make this city feel like home.
Time. Our next set of questions will be asked by Imam Idris Abdul-Zahir.
first question is for David. As part of your campaign plan, you promised to spur infrastructure renovation in our city to attract employers and investors. Specifically, what are the pressing infrastructure renovation needs of Philadelphia, and how will an O administration tackle these essential upgrades?
Right. I think for our city, we have to be engaged in the global economy, and we have to look and see where we are competitively, city to city, not only in this nation, but around the world. And in that, I did hold a meeting with the building trades with 22 different countries, from Canada to Mexico to Brazil, Japan, China, and other countries, whereby they would invest in our city to build, construct the buildings that we need, because we need to put innovative companies into innovative buildings. And there you need roads, trains, we need to look at our airport, we have to make our subway system amenable to all these people, and that's a lot of infrastructure that we develop.
Time. Thank you.
This next question is for Sherelle Parker. You have served both as a state representative and council member, and now, along with 3 other candidates, are seeking to become Philadelphia's first female mayor. Women's reproductive rights and equal and fair pay have been national issues with local implications. What would be the significance if Philadelphians elected their first female mayor, and what makes you the best woman for the job?
There is no other candidate, male or female, who brings the level of intergovernmental experience that Sherelle Parker brings to the table. I won't need training on understanding that $44 billion budget introduced by Governor Shapiro, nor in accessing the $660 million plus fund balance that we have here. But it's important that you know I'm not running to make history, to be a footnote in somebody's history book. I am interested in making Philadelphia the safest, cleanest, and greenest big city in the nation, and so that young people like me who come from where I come from know that it's possible, not breaking glass ceilings, but a foundation that other people coming from where I come from can follow.
Thank you.
Next question is for Maria Quinones Sanchez. You were a veteran activist of 30 years and served 14 years as councilwoman in the 7th Council District, championing the causes of working families and low-income communities. How will you address Philadelphia's shrinking middle class and attracting middle-income residents back to the city?
Thank you. I encourage folks to go to the website mariaphilly.com. The Inquirer has called my education plan the most comprehensive. And why? I'm the only one calling for a good public education, a K-8 school walking distance for every child, changing how we do high schools and providing real options to career, having graduated from a career technical education, and the only one talking about community college being free for all of our young people. It is more efficient for us to take our 11th and 12th graders and put them at community college than to keep them in underperforming schools. And I would use community college as our workforce development arm, providing free community college for returning citizens and folks looking to upskill. That's how I would improve our middle class.
One last question for Rebecca Reinhardt. As controller, you released a report detailing the Philadelphia Police Department's outdated practices, ineffective programs and policies, and misuse of funds. How does this get corrected under a Reinhardt administration? What other city departments should undergo a similar overhaul?
So fixing the police department, making necessary changes to policing while also supporting the hard work that our officers on patrol are doing is one of the most important changes and reforms that's necessary in our city. So under my administration, I would make this a top priority. What we need to do is move out of 6,000 police officers, right now we only have 2,500 on patrol. We need to move the officers from desk work out to patrol so that the same $800 million that the public is paying for is used in a better way for people. We also need to make sure that there's community policing, changing policing so that the community is involved and sets the patrols. Thank you.
Thank you to
to all of our candidates for joining us today. We are not finished. Just give you a thank you. It is now 6:26. If there is anyone that needs to leave, we ask that you do so now. We have 2 community submitted questions. We wanted to give you that time, and thank you again for joining us. We appreciate your presence. Philadelphia has developed a negative reputation of being a filthy city due to the constant littering, abandoned buildings and cars, and short dumping. What is your plan to combat Philadelphia's rising trash problem and further beautify our communities? I will start with Alan Don.
Thank you. On my public safety plan, in the first 100 days, we'll clean all vacant lots, seal the abandoned buildings, we'll tow abandoned cars, but also we'll go on a promotion across the city, making sure that each streetlight that's out within 72 hours, we replace that streetlight. We'll improve the services across the board, which we need to do. We'll also have a PR campaign on how important it is for the pride of the city to keep our city clean, and we'll start with me.
Thank you. Next, Darren Green. Darren Green.
Well, that's a very important question because our city does not look like it should. When I announced my campaign and said Philadelphia should expect more and deserve better from our city, we don't get the resources and service that we deserve. When I think about the mayor's budget a few weeks ago, $6 billion. I remember when the budget was $4 billion. Was our city cleaner? Was our city safer? No. So we need to make sure we're using the resources in the city of Philadelphia to bring in people. We have a drastic reduction in the number of employees in our city and invest in people who need jobs to help make our city cleaner. We also need to use technology. Technology to make sure that we're using and doing all the things that we can to make our city a safer and cleaner city and see what other cities have done. I've seen from my leadership as national president of Democratic municipal officials what other cities have done, and I'll bring that back to Philadelphia.
Next, Cheryl Parker.
I'm going to put the program that I already designed and put into action, Philadelphia Taking Care of Business, on steroids. The reason why downtown Center City is a little cleaner than neighborhoods, it's not because people don't dump trash, it's because it's somebody's job there to pick it up. We're going to do the same thing in our neighborhoods, like we've done, partnering with nonprofits like Mass July, E9 Tab, and others across the city to pick up more trash, hire people, along with increasing the sanitation crews, and we're going to increase their pay. They have the most thankless job in the city of Philadelphia.
Thank you. David O.
Yeah, we've stopped enforcing these laws. Right now, there are only 2 police officers that deal with illegal tractor trailer parking and 1 officer that deals with illegal dumping. We have to start enforcing these laws to send a message that you can't come to Philadelphia and dump your trash here and your construction waste. The other thing is that when we do the enforcement, we do use technology, but we have to empower third parties. For example, what I would do is if someone is dumping and they're caught, we would issue them a ticket, they don't pay it, then we would go and move their vehicles. Same thing with the tractor trailer. We can lock the wheels, they can't move it. We've warned them, they don't move it. But we do have to enforce in order to make sure that our city's clean.
Time. Next, James O'Neill.
That's known as the broken window syndrome. When a window gets broken in the neighborhood, then another window gets broken in the neighborhood, then another window gets broken in the neighborhood. And this is one of the issues that goes to your safety. In order for you to have safety in your neighborhood, you have to feel that your neighborhood is clean. So, while I'm reducing the gun violence and crime in your neighborhood, I'm also going to be having people clean up that neighborhood. I'm going to have each precinct is going to have the police officer that deals specifically with abandoned cars. We're going to prosecute vociferously people who dump trash
Thank you. Rebecca Reinhardt.
As mayor, I will make sure that our neighborhoods are all cleaned up. We're the only major city in the country without citywide street cleaning, and we also need to make sure that our streets department is fully staffed. My research as city controller showed that on-time trash pickup depends on where you live. Center City and Northeast Philly, 93% on time or better, while Northwest and South Philly, 65 to 75% on time. That is not okay, and when I am mayor, I will make sure that it is fair and good service across our whole city. In addition, we can use things that other cities are doing. New York has started to put in dumpsters every few blocks for residents to dump. I can do that here too. Thank you.
Jeff Brown.
Yeah, I'm going to remove all the abandoned cars in the first 100 days. I'm going to add citywide street sweeping. I'm going to add cameras and lights in all dumping areas, and I'll enforce the fines. I'll even be looking to make an example out of people who dump in our community. And I know how to manage. I manage a large unionized workforce today. I know how to organize and manage. I will modernize all our city's functions that are outdated. I'm going to hire 5,000 staff that are missing. And of course, to do that, I'll need to increase their starting salaries. I will manage for you. That's what I know how to do.
Thank you. Ron Bloom.
Let's just keep this 100. First of all, I'm not trying to, I don't really want to be rhetorical, but a lot of these ideas, all of us have in common, and there's some great ideas. That's why I said I would hire most of a lot of the people who resigned. But listen, I'm the only block captain. Can we say block captain? I'm the only block captain in this race. And if anybody knows anything about block captains, the first thing a block captain can do is get on your nerves by telling you to what? Clean around your own front door. I'm going to be more aggressive with trash dumping, imposing fines, and if they repeat it, you can go to jail for illegal dumping. So, you got it.
So we're going to our second question. There have been many incidents where police were deployed to manage situations with individuals that are mentally ill and/or have developmental diagnoses such as autism. What is your plan to ensure police have proper training to de-escalate these intense encounters with individuals that may instead benefit from support of a mental or behavioral health professional? We will start this time with Warren Bloom.
Again, this is a mental health issue, crisis probably more than anything else. But everything we're experiencing now is probably a breakdown of society. That's why I'm asking everybody, public safety is everybody's responsibility, and we have to make sure we attend to the needs of the mentally challenged people. So I want to be very sensitive to that point and making sure that police can discern what's imminent threat as opposed to somebody who's dealing with critical mental issues or deficiencies.
Time. Thank you. Jeff Brown.
Yeah, 911 needs to triage the circumstance. I mean, it's mental health related, a mental health professional needs to be there with the police. The second is I want to retrain all police, especially our new police, to have a service culture to treat everyone fairly and above all else, de-escalate problems. If you go to our stores with problems, our people are trained to serve and de-escalate. That's how you calm things down. You don't end up with a worse circumstance.
Thank you. Rebecca Reinhardt.
As mayor, I would make sure that the departments are working together so that behavioral health, public health, and Office of Supportive Housing are working with the police in a co-responder model. I've seen from my work in this city over the last 15 years how siloed the city departments can be. I'm going to break down those silos to make the departments work together for the people. Thank you.
Thank you. James DeLeon.
My plan calls for a buffer between the neighborhood and the community and the police. It's called a community coach. The individuals would be trained in anger management, post-traumatic stress disorder, mental health, all those particular situations, and they would be called by 311 rather than 911. And they would have the power to tell police to stand back, that this is something that they're taking care of. Senator Milton Screed was the one who came up with this.
Time. Thank you. David Earl.
I am and have been a proponent of minimum force training. The problem occurs when the officer engages with not just a person who has mental illness, but they perceive them to be life-threatening. That's where the problem occurs. And the city trains them, but it does not train them how to handle those situations. When muscle memory comes in, when physiology sees that you're in fear of your life, you have to have training to handle the situation properly, to not injure or kill.
Thank you. Cheryl Parker.
Supporting the co-responder model that could have saved the life of Walter Wallace is something that we'll put on steroids in the Parker administration. But I also want you to think about what happens when cultural competency is not a priority. If black and brown people need 99% of the therapy and the support services that should be available, why don't we have cultural competency to ensure that there are black licensed therapists and social workers?
Time.
There is a void.
Time. Thank you. Derek Green.
As a father of a son, 20-year-old son with autism spectrum, this is something very personal to me. That's why in my public safety plan, I said when we recruit police officers, we're going to provide them with the training and understanding to make sure they're addressing this issue so we cannot have another Walter Wallace Jr. situation in this city. As someone who fears that every day when my son goes out, they have a note in his backpack to let people know that if he's having an issue, to give us a call. But if he's in the wrong place, in the wrong part of the city, where the police officers don't know him, we could have a Walter Wallace Jr. situation in my family. And having to understand that is important.
Thank you.
The biggest crisis here is leadership. Because with the right leadership, the mayor can make all this happen. For example, the call comes into 911, we need more training for those people receiving the calls, a lot more training. We need more training for the police. We need to bring those departments in the city together to work as a team. But it's all about training. The more trained we are, the better we can handle these issues. And as your mayor, I'll make sure that training happens. Starting with the person who receives the phone call. They have to be much more trained than where they are today. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our community submitted questions. At this time, it is now 6:40, just to give everyone the time. We will allow each candidate 1 minute for closing statements. And we'll go in alphabetical order.
Again, I want to thank you for having us out. God already knows and already chosen the next mayor of Philadelphia. And it has nothing to do with me. Promotion only comes from one place concerning civil law and authority. And the Quran and the Bible tells you where it comes from. Again, I can have as much money as so-and-so and enough money, organization as Jeff. And I can still not win an election. So promotion only comes from God. Thank you so very much. I'm looking forward to serving you, but we have to do this thing together. One person can't solve these problems. I need you to help me govern. And I'm the only person that's going to hire children 10 years old and up because they're smart as a whip. They're probably smarter than all of us put together to help me serve this cabinet. With that money, and they don't get paid a good salary, but it'll go towards their education.
Thank you. Jeff Brown.
Trust what we've done in our career, not what we say today. I added halal departments after 911 to make sure my Muslim customers had what they needed. I had an extensive Muslim procurement effort, and there's vendors of mine that have done business with me for 25 years in the audience today. Muslims and black people, over 50% of my management team is black today, over 80% of my employees, even stores in white neighborhoods. Philanthropically, I support the Eid Festival every year. I put a learning center in one of our great mosques. I hire returning citizens. I started the PA 30-day fund to save small black businesses. I started a small business incubator, people in this office today, a benefit fund. I founded Uplift so I could help my competitors and others hire returning citizens. I've hired 60,000 Philadelphians, given them their first job. I helped 200,000 young people in the neighborhoods with
time. Thank
I'm
you.
your guy.
Judge Leon.
As a judge for 34 years, I made decisions on a daily basis that affected the lives of Philadelphians. Not only did it affect the lives of Philadelphians, but it saved the lives of Philadelphians. I'm the only individual on this stage who is running for the office of mayor who has saved the lives of Philadelphians by my initiatives as the supervising judge of the court system. I have the plan in order to reduce gun violence. There is no one on this stage other than me that has a clue on how to do this. I will do this because your lives are my #1 concern. And I want to make sure that you live a long and healthy and fruitful life. And the only way I can do that is to devote my time to reducing gun violence and making sure that your loved ones and yourself come home at night.
Thank you. Ellen Dahl.
Thank you for having me here tonight. As your mayor, I will focus on the #1 issue, which is public safety. Because nothing is possible in this city until we get the safety under control. You know, I have a different experience, so I have a different vision. My vision is not to make people comfortable in poverty, but to take them out of poverty. And that's why I talk about entrepreneurship, that's why I talk about training and workforce training across the board. But as your mayor, I'll show up every day. I'll put in the time, I'll have the enthusiasm, the empathy and energy. I'll be humble enough to reach out to others for help. I'll accept responsibility for those things that occur, whether it's my fault or not. And I'll have a plan for making things better and stick to the plan. I'll also be the biggest cheerleader and the biggest champion for the city of Philadelphia and for all Philadelphians. I will love the job. I will love the work of helping people. I will share this with you. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. I care a lot for the city, and I care for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Derek Green.
I want to thank all of you for being here this afternoon. This is a very important conversation. And when you think about the issues we talked about this afternoon, we talked about education, entrepreneurship, and public safety. You should elect a mayor who's had lived experiences in all three. I've taught in a schoolroom, I've also been a small business owner, but I've also been an assistant district attorney who was once racially profiled while leaving the DA's office. So I know we have to reduce gun violence in our city, but we cannot over-criminalize our system with young black men that look like my son. So I have a real plan to address the gun violence in our city. The first year of our green administration, we'll have a 25% or more reduction in shootings. And we'll do that through my public safety plan we talked about earlier today. Presidents bringing police officers into our city that look like our city. Accountability, making sure we're really using all of our criminal justice partners, including U.S. Attorney's Office to go after guns, but also opportunity investment. Investing in our schools and investing in small businesses and allowing them to grow, because Philadelphians should expect more and deserve better from our city, and you'll get that with Mayor Green as mayor.
Thank you. David.
Thank you. I started my career doing free legal services. Then I went to work in the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office under Ed Rendell and then Ron Castillo. I resigned there to join the Army, went to the Airborne. I came back and did more free legal services before starting my own practice. For 18 years, I've run my own law firm, hiring people, paying the rent and doing those things. But I also, during that time, served on the board of Community College, Annapolis Hospital, Hahnemann University, Walnut Street Theater, Urban Affairs Coalition, and many organizations, including the First Commercial Bank of Philadelphia, and dealt with these issues. That's why I ran for office, that's why I served for 3 terms, and that's why I've introduced many bills on these very topics. The issues that we face, we have to stop the homicides, we have to deploy police like we care about people's lives. We have to clean up the public transportation system that so many people rely on, repair the schools, provide equity in education.
Time.
And a better vision for
Time.
the future.
Thank you. Sherelle Parker.
Because I think authenticity matters as much to you as it does to me, I am not ashamed to tell you that I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was raised by a grandmother and a grandfather who was a domestic worker and a retired Navy veteran on the 1900 block of Penfield Street. I stood in line with my grandmother at the 3-2 Center across the street from Gibbons getting colored money and books when the 20s were purple and the 10s were green and the dollars were brown and it wasn't a plastic card. And it was across the street from Gimbel's. And the first thing I can tell you about poverty is that people who are living in it don't like it. I want to put Philadelphia on a path to self-sufficiency off of the poverty hamster wheel. We'll do that with year-round public educational opportunities, training with the building trade so that our children and unemployed adults are helping to fix problems in our community. No one's coming to save us. We're going to have to save ourselves.
Our city is in a critical moment right now. We need a mayor that can hit the ground running on day one to fix the issues of gun violence, and also to make our city cleaner and fix the schools and provide opportunity. I am the only person on this stage with city executive experience, working in 2 mayoral administrations and then running for office and being the independent city controller for the last 5 years. I know how the city works and doesn't and can hit the ground running on day one to fix it. I also have the courage to lead our city forward. We need a mayor with courage right now. And as city controller, I have stood up for what's right, even if it's meant getting into a political fight or two. I've done it. And I want to change things and make our city work for all of our neighborhoods, creating safety and opportunity. I want to be your mayor. I love our city. Thank you.
At this time, Selena will offer comments.
I just have a few remarks. I just want to say to the audience, please give yourselves a round of applause. You guys really showed up and showed out, and we're so happy that you came out to hear from the candidates. We hope that you are pleased with the presentation, and we thank you. We want to ask the candidates to please meet and greet with the audience members, with the Muslims who came out to hear from you. I know you have a question, you should ask them directly when they come down. If anyone has questions directly for the candidates while they're here, ask them. They're here for you. So thank you again. We would like to take a group photo with all of you, and then please introduce yourselves and meet our members of the community here. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you everyone for coming out.